to be the one to introduce Hannah. Well, thank you, my HR did that. Thank you so much for that. Please put your hands together for yourself. Celebrate yourself. This is your day. Come on, celebrate yourself. Come on, my friend. Celebrate yourself. You know, International Women's Day. When Hannah was giving the brief history, I remember I had a talk with one of my friends that worked with these companies around. She was telling me that her MD was telling the HR to employ more women, that he believes that the women can multitask. He knows the value of women. So put your hands together again and again and again and again for yourself. International Women's Day. So the next agenda on my list this morning is an overview of our initiatives to support women at TJ. And I want to really thank the TJ company, the HR, and all the women that gave me the opportunity to stand here. Honestly, it's a privilege for me to welcome on stage. I am so excited. When I mean excited, I am excited to welcome on stage my mommy, the person that made me to know you, the person that made me to know me, you know, our visionary CEO. Very passionate in all she does. You know, thank you so much for changing our lives. I think it's a great opportunity. Thanks so much, Mira.
Thanks, everyone, and good morning. You all are such amazing speakers. Hannah, that was a great speech. Please, another round of applause for Hannah. She really captured the essence of what makes it so important for women to be in agriculture, women to be in industries that are male-dominated. And I want you guys to clap for yourselves again. Because I know it's hard. Well, first of all, I think in Nigeria it's hard in general for women to be in the workforce once they're married, because there are a lot of responsibilities that fall on you, and I don't take that lightly. And second of all, I think that there's a lot of gender bias still in the country. So I know that everybody is really committed to being here. I wanted to share a few quick stats, although I'm trying to find them in my notebook. I just wrote them down. Just to share a little bit about sort of where we are in the company today, and then also a little bit about sort of what we have on offer for women, but then also some of the areas that I think we might want to still make improvements, or where we still have areas that we can grow. So I'm going to do this from memory because I can't find it now, but hopefully I got the numbers right. So in general, in the sort of population of TJ staff, and that's including the full-time employees and also our our contract staff, we have 209 employees in total, and 33% of those are women. I believe it's 69 of them are women. I don't have the industry standard, but I do believe this is pretty high above the industry standard for a rural agricultural company. So I think we're doing pretty well. We don't have a target per se for what we want in terms of women in our company, but to me, I'd love to see it continue to be at least 33%. I'll tell you why in a little bit. At the general management level, the GMT, we have sort of these layers of management, right? So first, there's anybody who is at least a supervisor. Can you guys raise your hand if you're at least a supervisor in your current role, in your current job title? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of you. 9 if we count Sheeta. So I think you guys should also clap for yourselves. And the goal is to be moving more in management positions or supervisory positions. Now, after sort of the general regular supervisor and managing level, we have what we call our general management team. Those are the people that run the different departments at tomato jobs. So we have grower services, we have maintenance, we have HR, we have admin, etc. At the GMT level, the general management team level, we have a total of 17 members, of which 5 are women. So that's about 29% women. So a little bit less than the general population. And then at the EMT level, the executive management team level, we're actually doing okay right now, but as EFC at the end of the month, it's going to drop a little bit. But we have, we have 7 people, I think, on that team, out of which 3 are women. So we're actually almost 50-50 at the executive level. But the reason it's important for us to have at least 30% women at every level of the organization is because there's a natural tendency for what we call in-group, out-group behavior. So anytime you have a minority group, whether it's a minority tribe, or whether it's a minority gender, or whether it's a minority skin color, race, whatever it is, you have a tendency for the people who are more similar to sort of like other the people that are different from them in whatever way. And there have been studies done on this, and it can be positive discrimination, it can be negative discrimination, but it exists and people are treated differently. The conversations are different when you're in the room or not in the room. And what people have found is that when that other group approaches 30% of the general group, that othering diminishes. So it's really important for us to maintain cohesiveness with our male counterparts at the organization by having that safety in numbers to a certain extent. And then it normalizes the things that you are experiencing as a woman that might be different than a man. So hitting that 30% target, I think, is very important for me, because not just for us clapping for ourselves, but also for us to feel welcome in the organization. So in terms of some of the specific things that we have tried to do to encourage women not only to join TJ but to stay at TJ, one of them, of course, is the shuttle service. We know that getting to and from town can be a little bit challenging. That's, of course, something that's open to everybody, but I think that it is helpful to a certain extent for women who might not have cars or might not be able to drive or might not be encouraged to drive, back to the point of sort of general bias in Nigeria. A second thing that we have done is the maternity leave policy. We've tried to be flexible about when people are putting to bed, giving them flexibility about when and for how long they need time off. So there's a relatively generous, paid leave package that you can use flexibly within the time period. So if you feel like I can actually come in for a couple of weeks, but then I need to go back once the baby gets, maybe my mom is helping out at this point, but she has to go back, we sort of try to give you that flexibility to plan for yourself based on your own recovery from the birthing process and based on what your support systems look like. And then we also do have this new crash. I don't know how many of you guys know about it or participate in it, but at the JSQ we are now doing sort of like a little babysitting service for babies, so that you can come to work, you have a safe place to nurse, your baby has a safe place to stay while you're at work, and you can feel comfortable coming back. And as a result of those programs, we've actually had quite strong retention in our female staff after people give birth, much, much higher than the industry standard. And so I do want to applaud, all of you guys for coming back and still wanting to be here. And also, the HR team for trying to create programs that will enable you to, do the job of being a mother as well as doing the job of working at TJ. So, clap for yourself again. I wanted to make this more interactive. The next section is going to be Ask Me or Anything. But before we get into the Ask Me or Anything, there's a couple of things I wanted to point out. So one is, in terms of an area where I think we need to improve, it's, I don't have the numbers on this because we weren't able to pull it out before this meeting, but I don't think that we're at 30% in the number of people who are in a supervisory role, but not in the GMT. So that sort of next layer down of management, I think, is very male dominated. And I think that's an area where we can make improvements, because I know many people in the room have, career aspirations. You want to grow, you want to see improvements in your career, you want to, get promotions, move up in the organization. And so I think we need to try and do a better job at sort of creating what we call pathways for growth within the organization, and making sure that at that next layer down, there is a sort of similar 30%, 30 to 33%, 30 to 35%, proportion of men to women in those sort of first tier of supervisory roles. So that's something that I want to try and improve on. Because it should be the standard at every level of the organization, right? I don't want to be in a situation where we have, the general company is looking like this, and then the top of the company is looking like this, but in the middle is looking somehow different, right? Then we're not really getting to where we need to get to. So that's one thing that's been on my mind. But I really wanted to also ask you all some questions, get the conversation, make it a conversation and not a speech. I'm not a very formal person, as I think most of you guys know. I don't like a lot of special treatment. I get kind of embarrassed when you toast me and stuff like that. I just kind of keep my head down and try and get the work done, which I know sometimes isn't maybe what everybody wants me to do. So, but I'd like to, ask a couple of questions, get the conversation going for the next 10 minutes, and then hopefully the room is warmed up enough, you guys are feeling comfortable enough to start asking me questions as well. So with that, maybe the first question I'd like to ask is, who here has used, if you just show your hands, used the maternity leave policy? Who's had a kid at TJ and has used the maternity leave? Can you raise your hands? Just one? 2, 3? Okay. And I'm just curious, if any of you would be comfortable just sharing a little bit about your experience of what it was like to go on leave and come back to work. Was it what you expected? Was it different? If anybody feels comfortable. And also, should we be translating? Faiza, should we be translating this? Okay.